Okay, so let's begin. Hello, everybody. My name is Shreya Sawant, and good evening to all of you all. GDSC PCC is back again with yet another exciting and informative webinar. And this time we'll be learning a little more on the much talked about topic that is Git and GitHub. Today we have with us Master Gaurav Das, who will be guiding us in getting started with Git. Gaurav is a student of NIT Silchar. He has been the project lead at GirlScript Summer of Code Extended 2020, is currently the program manager of GirlScript Winter of Contributing, and is a co-member at GDC of NIT Silchar. He is an open source enthusiast, does a noble job of sharing his knowledge, and is definitely excellent in it. So without further ado, let's begin with our session. Over to you, Gaurav.
Hi everyone, thank you for the beautiful introduction. So as it covered almost everything, almost the things about me, like I am an open source enthusiast and I love sharing the things that I know. So today I'm glad that I will be sharing some of the things on Git and GitHub. So basically it will be a beginner friendly session where we will do hands-on Git and GitHub. We'll be learning why the concept of Git arose and then how we basically use it today and why is Git extensively used. So let me give you an overview of how the session would continue. First of all, I'll be explaining in simple terms what is Git, what problem does it solve, and then because it's hands-on session, we'll move forward to the installation of Git, and then slowly we'll proceed to the hands-on demo, and then we will be learning a little extra advanced topics in Git, like how collaborations are done in Git and GitHub, and then finally we will give like some I will be explaining how you can start your open source contribution and using Git and GitHub. Basically, like you can assume Git is the necessary tool for contributing to open source. So I think we are good to start. It was a small introduction from my side of how we are going to proceed. So let's get started. So first thing that comes to your mind, what is Git and GitHub, right? There are two terminologies that you often come across, I believe. And when you will be entering into a software development industry, the first thing probably you will be working is getting someone's work and then taking that, like basically GitHub is a place where projects are there, and from GitHub you get the project on your local machine and then you start working. So when you will be going to the industry or working on any project, the first thing that you have that will come across would be Git, because it's tool which is used to maintain versions. So now Git is well-known tool for version. It's a version control system. Now the question arises, what's a version control system? Let's assume there is a text, there is a file a.txt and something is written there. Let me show you with some live example. Just a second. So I'll be using a tool named Miro, which will basically help me to show some visuals. So I think my screen is visible, right? If anyone can quickly confirm.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, one more thing, like keep posting your doubts on the chat. If you have any doubts or any queries, so feel free to post them. I'll be picking the doubts like in some intervals, let's say 15 minutes, and I'll be resolving them right away so that every confusion is cleared. So what I was saying, the necessity and history of Git, right? For example, you have a file. Let's say it is a text file. It's written. Goa is a beautiful place. Now, someday you just saw this text, you want to add another line. So what would you do? You can just basically add there. So right, you can just add your another change with the existing text. But by this way, you basically lost the previous version, right? Now you do not have a copy of the text where it is written, Goa is a beautiful place. To solve that issue, what you can do, basically make a copy of it. And on that copy, you can just write so this is what versioning is. So this is version, let's say version 1, this is version 2, where you made some changes. And what you basically did, you created a copy and then add the changes. If you didn't create a copy, let's say you didn't create a copy, you would have only this, right? And this is, so by this way, you would have lost the previous version. Let's say you want some changes on the previous version. Now you have no way to get it back. So that's what a version controlling is. Basically, if there is a work and you have multiple versions of it. Now the problem occurred is that this is a simple text. So what you can do, you can just create a copy. Let's say you have to make another copy. You made another copy of it. And so you just made another copy and saved it. Now you have 3 copies of it. Let's say you have to make 100 changes. So it's not possible, right? You will be every time creating a copy, adding the changes. That's where the version control system comes into the picture. What it does, it maintains the copies without actually creating multiple copies of that. So at the simplest idea of Git is that you have some file, you want to make the changes and you want to keep the previous copy also, but you do not just directly want to make multiple copies of it. This exactly inside Git copies are created, but they do not create this copies normal way. See, if you directly create copy of this file, if the size would increase. So what Git does is that it uses a technique called snapshot and it saves the snapshot. So we will be going to that portion later. For now, just understand the problem that is solved by Git is that it helps in maintaining multiple versions of the thing so that if some problem occurs, we can just get back to the previous version anytime we want. So that's the basic idea behind Git and Git. And now what is GitHub? GitHub is a simple website where you can maintain projects for simple understanding. So hub means it's a collection of something, you can just assume. So GitHub is a place where there are projects are hosted and you can collaborate on projects. How? We'll be discovering a little later. Now I have explained introduction to Git and GitHub. So hope you understood. So just first thing to remember, Git is the version control system. GitHub is the website on which you can collaborate on projects and you can pretty possibly now today GitHub is very advanced. Like so many features are there, but at the core of it, the reason why it was created was for collaboration and why Git was created for maintaining multiple versions, multiple copies. And so Git is known as a version control system and GitHub is the website. I guess that clears the introductory part. Now let's move to the installation because it's a hands-on session and I'm not I do not expect everyone has Git installed in their computer. So for different operating system, there are basically you have to install the Git in different way. So based on the operating system, what I'm doing, because I'm personally using Linux, so I'll be able to show you the Linux installation only. For the Windows, like I'm just posting the link in chat. And I'm explaining like how you have to do. So for installing anything, whether in any system, just search on Google, install Git, let's say in Windows. So you'll be getting this download link, downloads Git SCM. So you can just simply, I'm just posting this link also. Those who want to follow, you can just follow along with me and then post your queries on the chat itself, so that by this end of the session, you get complete understanding and also some hands-on experience with Git. So it would be great if we can make it the session interactive. So those who are following along, can you just post something on the chat so that I know that few people are following along the session and doing the installation and all the things along the way. Okay, already installed. So those who have not installed, what you have to do, go to this website that I have already posted. So because I'm using Linux, it's coming download for Linux. If you are using Mac, it will come for download for Mac and then download for Windows. So same way. So, so can everyone quickly tell me if how many of them do not have Git installed? If you do not have installed, just post not installed. Let's see the count first. Okay, we got a few people. Okay, so please follow the instructions. First of all, go to this link, download this button, and then if you are on Windows, you have to just double click and next, next, next that way. So basically, this is link that I posted. So this link has explained if you have any queries. So this is what in Windows you exactly have to do. So download through Windows and then double click on it. Yes. Then next, next, next. Just you have to keep on pressing next. Let the default option be there. You don't have to make any checks, and you can just simply click on next, 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 and then it will get installed. Basically, for setting up Git, there are a lot of configurations required. So when you just do next, by the default configurations are selected automatically. So it just get installed by the time like you have completed all the steps. So you can see this, you have to simply press next everywhere. And once you are installed, so you basically see this Git bash on your like machine. So that's the installation for Windows. For Mac and Linux, it's very simple. So let me show example. So if you have to install in Linux, what you'll do, sudo apt install git. So that's as easy as like it sound. You have enter. I think for Mac you have to use brew install. So Git is already installed in my case. That's why it came. So if it's not installed, it would get installed this way. And for Windows, make sure you have to follow these steps. Are very simple. You have to just give next, 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 and it will get installed. So, okay, please continue the installation, and till then we can just go with some theory part and how Git is basically used. So please let's take wait for around 8:25. I hope by that time everyone will be done installing. So till then I can show you some of the commands and how Git is basically used. So okay, so let's get back to the presentation. So by now you have a rough idea in mind that Git is a version control system, and it helps us to keeping a track of the changes that we have done. Now, basically when you install Git, you get a command line. Command line means the terminal. So this is the terminal that you get, and for using Git, you have to type couple of commands. Using those commands, you control all the things which are being done in Git. So Git is when you will be learning Git, basically you will have to learn the commands, and definitely how the Git works. That's one part of it, and the another part is that you have to these commands and how to use them and where to use them. So that's basically you have to do. And then for Git and for beginning with starting collaboration, you don't have to learn all the commands which are available out there. You have to learn a few commands which helps you to keep track of the different versions of the file that you will be using. So if you are done installing, great. If anyone is having problem with the installation, make sure you drop it on the message there on the chat box so that we can resolve them right away. Till the time you are done with the installation, so let's see this website github.com. So as I explained, this is a website where projects are there and this is used for collaboration. There are like these are my repositories. Let me open any one of them. So you can see this is the files of the project. This is a README file, and then that's all basically. These are some of the options available, which we will be explaining on the collaboration section, which will come to the towards the end of the session. And so it's simple, just a website which you people use for collaboration, and Git is a tool. And GitHub is not the only website which is used for collaboration. There are certain other websites also, but in max all of them, like Git is the universal thing. So if you know Git, this Git can be used for collaborating in any website because Git is independent of the website. It's just a command line utility. It's you can just install on your machine and you can operate from the terminal. So that's which makes things really simple, and definitely as it is platform independent, so you can use it from any platform. Okay, if you are done installing, if I think we can move forward. Okay, as I cannot see any doubts regarding the installation, I guess installation was successful for the people who didn't have Git initially. Okay then, so I'm moving forward, assuming that the response is everyone have successfully installed Git. So now let's move to local machine and see how actually Git works and how what we do using it. So this is my normal editor. I have, so this is an empty folder, Git and GitHub session. Let's create a file. Name it as index.txt. So let's add some text. Text should we add? Let's take from Lorem Ipsum. In case you don't know, this is a website from which you can get dummy text. So you just copy the text and just you can use it for your website or anything. So see this file, I have this index.txt. Now I have saved the file. Let's make another file, index2.txt. Let's add some text. I have added too much. Okay, that's not an issue. So here you can see I have two files, index.txt and index2.txt. Now let's say I just want to make some changes. What I want to do, I can add my name at the end of the file. So what I can do, I can simply add my name, right? But by doing so, I lost the previous file, right? If 10% comes and they start writing their names, and then let's say people start coming, start writing their names, and we want to know of like who wrote the name, like what was the basically copy before, like the people number, like number 5 from last basically wrote, what I mean is that This is the last. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we need a copy of this file, so basically we have no way to get back, right? We just, what we have to do, we have to manually then delete the changes. So that's not an ideal way. What we want is that with every change in the file, we are creating another version of it, and we want all the version to be saved. That's where Git comes. What we do in Git, this is my original file. We have to first initialize Git on this folder. And how we can do that? We use a command to let Git know that please start tracking this file. The command is git init. By doing this command, we are instructing Git that please start tracking my files in this folder. So what is this folder? Git and Github. So git init, you can see initialized empty Git repository in this location. So now if I make any changes, it will be tracked by Git. See, initially, when you start in a Git repository, you will be getting this .git file. And this is where everything is saved. This is the place where you will basically, it will be responsible for all the changes, all the copies of the file, different versions of it. Now, because I have added git init, by using git init, we basically tell Git, please start tracking the files. Now we want to add this file to Git. See, there are two steps. First step is that we have a folder. We have to tell Git on this folder, please start tracking my files. Once this is started, what we have to do, we have to add the files to Git. So Git add, then the file name. So at index.txt, what it will basically do, this will start add the file to Git. Adding the file to Git means it will store the changes. So if I press enter, this file is now added to Git. You can see the text, the color has turned green. That means this has been added to the Git. Added to Git means now if I make any changes, Git will basically keep Git will keep copies of it. But there is a way by which Git manages the copies. That is known as a commit. So the process is that, let me explain here. First, you have a folder. You do Git init. By this way, you are telling that please start tracking my files in this folder. Once you have done this Git init, you have to basically add the files that you want to track. There can be a scenario that you don't want to maintain versions of all the files. So you do git add file name. By this way, you are adding that particular file to Git. And then just adding will not work, right? You have to keep some checkpoints on those checkpoints that you can eventually return. What I mean by checkpoint is that initially you have this file. So you do what you added. I added my name. Now someone came, let's say Alice come and she writes her name. John comes, he writes his name. So if I have to go to the file just after writing my name, I will need a checkpoint here. Let's say checkpoint 1. Checkpoint 3. So if I can keep some checkpoints, only then I can return to a particular checkpoint. If I do not keep these checkpoints, I won't be able to return, right? How can I identify? Like, because I cannot identify, I didn't say that the place, the time where where Alice wrote his name, go there. It's not an easy identification way. We have to mark some checkpoints, and that's what we do in Git. So how we mark the checkpoint? We basically commit the files. Let me clear the scenario or give a better understanding of it. So you have added this file. Let's say there's another file. Add file 3, file 2. So this is a folder. You added this file. You added another file to this, and then you have to make sure that this in one checkpoint, this changes in both the files should be included. So what you basically do, you basically commit the changes. Git commit -m. -m is the message that you can put some message. Let's say added files in Git. Files in Git. So this can be a message. So this message basically is a checkpoint after this change. So here you can see initially there is no one has written. Let's keep it a checkpoint. Git commit fetch file, for example. So once I committed, you can see one file changed, 2 insertions, create mode this index.txt. So now I have a version of this file saved in Git. Now if I say add my name, so now I have again made some changes. What are the steps after adding a change? First, Git add. I have to tell Git I have done the change. Please add this. So after adding the file, what we have to do? We have to keep a checkpoint. What is the checkpoint? A commit message, which is add my name. Now I have 2 versions of the same file, that in which one has my name, one doesn't have. So let's add some other names. Name 2, name 3. Now do the same thing. First step, add the basically instead of git add the file name, what we can do, we can add all the files. So dot means all the files in this folder. Git commit, add some names, and so now I have multiple copies of the same file, where one was only this previous file, one was with my name, and one was with this name. Let's check where are the copies and how they look like. So there is a command in Git which will allow you to see the previous versions, which is git log. You can see the checkpoints here. If you clearly observe, this is the fresh file just after adding the changes. This is add my name, where I added only Gaurav Das, and this is add some names, where I added this name to a name 3. If you have to go to particular the fresh file, what you have to do, you can see there's a long hash string available here. So what Git does is that when you create a checkpoint, they create corresponding hash to it, and this is unique, so that it doesn't creates any conflicts. So what you have to do, copy this and type a command git checkout and paste it. See, you have now on the file, fresh file, where no name was written, and you have just jumped here. Let's say you have to go to a file where only my name Gaurav Das was written. Again, check the checkpoints. These are the checkpoints. So what you can do, add my name. You have to go to this particular place. Checkout. See, you have come here where this name drastically appears. And that's the power of Git. You can maintain multiple copies without even making multiple copies directly. What Git does, it maintains snapshots, and those snapshots are very so light that you can just play around with that. If you start making physical copies by right click and then copy, it will consume a lot of space. But Git maintains snapshot in such a mechanism that is the size is very much reduced, and you can just easily keep multiple versions of the same file. So that's kind of the basic idea. Now, if I have to again go to the another like last one, just go here. Let's see, I am returned to the file where I made the last changes. So to be honest, this is the kind of all the basics that you have to keep in mind. So let me just reiterate over the points. First thing of using Git is that let's first give like a revise what we have learned till this point. First, we learned about what is Git. Git is a version control system. What is a version control system? Version control system is a method, like it's a system which allows us to store multiple copies of the same file. When we need multiple copies, when we make changes, so that we can get back to any change which we did previously. That is the first thing. Second, how to use Git. First, based on your platform, Ubuntu, Linux, Windows or Mac, you have to install Git on your system. First thing. Second thing, you have a folder. On that folder, you have to first initialize Git. How do you do that? Git init. Why we need that? We have to tell Git, right, that please start tracking my files in this folder. And remember, on your machine, when you do Git init, it creates a .git folder. And it will, every time you will do, if there are 5 folders, every time you do Git init in all the folders, it will create a .git file. And suppose you do again this thing, Git init, because I already did in this folder, right? If I press enter, it's a reinitialized existing Git repository because Git was already initialized. That's why it has shown this way. So Git init, and then what were the next steps? You have to first add changes. Let's say added final change. What's the step? Git add the file name or dot. What was dot for? Dot for all the files in this current folder. Now adding the checkpoint. Git commit message add final change. So basically you again have saved another copy. How will you check the multiple versions of it? Git log. See, this is add final change, my last message, fresh file the first one, add my name second one, third one, fourth one. This way, at any point of time, you can go to any version of it and then you can just play around with it. See, this is a text file. That's one of the reasons that it may seem to you that we can just manually keep a track of it. But think of a project which has thousands of lines, thousands of files. So it's not possible for if 100 people are working on it. So what they will do, they will keep adding checkpoints so that if anything goes wrong, we can go back to particular checkpoint and make it correct and then move forward. So that's why we use Git and GitHub. On the PPT, if you see, I think I missed. If you, I'll be sharing this PPT in case someone needs this. So what was the first step? Git init, which will initialize the repository. Git add file name or dot, which will add all the files. So this is one I have written. Then git commit -m commit message. Git log we have already done. Git checkout we have already learned to go back to particular version. Now one thing we are left with is that git push origin master, main or master, whatever you say. So now this will come into picture when we'll be working on projects and you have to push the changes from your local to like some remote. Remote means, let's say, some GitHub or some other place, that's where this is used. So I hope this basic Git commands are clear in front of you. So let me just reiterate for the last time. I promise this is the last time I'm just doing reiteration of it. First step, create, like you have a folder, do git init. Let me write here for better understanding. Git init, then git add dot or the file name, git commit, that's hyphen m, whatever you say, commit message. So this 3 steps that you have to do when you have to work with Git. Just this 3 steps, nothing else. Just understand the concept behind this. Git init means you are initializing a repository. Git add, adding that particular file to the staging area. It's called a staging area. That means you are basically keeping a track of the changes. And git commit means you are adding a checkpoint. So enough reiterations on these commands. Now let's see this in action. As I already said, GitHub is the place which holds a lot of projects and one can collaborate on these projects. And Git is a very important tool which we use for collaboration. So this is I said this is a website. First thing what we did when we were working on some projects, we created this folder, right? In my case, I already created this folder before the session, but what we do first step, we just create a folder. That's where what you have to do in GitHub also. Once you are on the GitHub, you can see this new button here that will create a new folder, and to give it a fancy name, we use the repository tar. It's just another name for folder, nothing else. So let's name it as GitHub session, and add some description. It's optional, it's not required. You can see there are 2 options, public and private. If you create a public one, anyone would be able to see. If you create a private one, only you can see. For other people, it won't be shown. So it's up to you if you want to keep personal projects there or publicly. So these are some of the things which you may not see in your account. So these are kind of add-ons, you can say. For example, when you eat something, you can take some add-ons, right? So such I have like configured this on my account. So if you don't see, nothing to be worried about them. These are some of the tools, you can say, which we use eventually. And you will see these files, add a readme file. So readme, as the name suggests, readme. So it's basically indicating just read that file. So it's a file which give instruction of a repository that you are looking into. So this is one of my repository. This is one of my projects. What I did, I created a Discord bot, which basically helps you in generating PDFs from web page. So you can say this readme. I have explained how you can use it. So here is the invite link that I have embedded. Then you can use this command for using this Discord bot. And this is an example given. So you can get an idea what this readme file is. Readme file, we keep all the information about this project so that anyone who is coming, for example, you visit this page someday and you want to know what this project is, you will first look into the readme. So when you will be collaborating and working on projects, make sure you add a readme file which helps other people learn more about the project. Yeah, so coming back to here, let's say we don't need any of this, and then this is license. So in open source, there are a few licenses which you can use. Like there is MIT, GNU. So you can read more about them in by your own. It's nothing like very rocket science about it. So let's just create this repository folder here. Create repository. Now, okay, I have created the repository. Now these are giving me some instructions on how can I start doing this. So you can just go through once, or I'll be explaining definitely now. So you can see there are 2 things here, HTTPS and SSH. So what is HTTPS? It's a protocol, right? And then what is SSH? It's a secure shell. Its full form is. So these are the two ways by which you can connect this Git to your local machine, and you can get this some project. For example, you have this project on GitHub. If you want this project to download on your machine, what you can do, you can clone this project. Cloning means creating a version, getting a version of the project into local machine. So here, and how you can clone. For cloning, you need an URL. This is the URL you can see. For the URL, there are two steps. Either you can use HTTPS or SSH. SSH is a secure shell, and it is a concept where we use the terminal, use some credential. For example, if you're using this SSH, then there are some of the ways that you have to set up previously. In the settings, you will find some options where you can set up this SSH. So, or HTTPS is the simple way where you can use. Let's use HTTPS here. So I'll just copy this URL so that I can clone this repository and git clone. This is the command. And for cloning, you need Git, because Git helps us to get a copy of the project which is there on GitHub. Command is very simple: git clone and the URL. Where would you get the URL? Here, this one. Once I click enter, because I have just created the repository, nothing is there. That's why the warning is coming. You appear to have cloned an empty repository. Definitely it's empty because I have not done like I did anything. So let's move to this repository. CD. You can just open your favorite text editor, even Notepad, for making the changes, or you can just go this way. So we have a folder here, fresh folder. No file is created, but Git is already initialized here. Why? Because we have cloned. During cloning, Git is automatically initialized. Let's test it. Git init. It was the first step, if you remember. If I put, you see, reinitialize existing Git repository, because Git is already initialized. Why? When I cloned, I use Git clone. So when I'm doing Git clone, Git knows I want to use Git here. So it automatically reinitializes on cloning. Let me add some files. File1.txt. So same way, let's add some text, lorem ipsum. Simple line, let's add this one here. First version, hope you remember what we do. Git add dot, that means adding all the files. Git commit, it's a message for checkpoint. Add first change. And now the thing comes, you have this project on your local machine. You have to send it to here, GitHub. Initially, if you see here, there is nothing, it's an empty repository. So what you can do, you using Git, you can send this changes, this file to GitHub. For that, you have to, first of all, you have to use Git. You know that. So first word would be Git. Then you have to push the changes. This is a command which is used by Git. So if you git push, what you will do, it will basically from local, it will give the files to that one repository of the GitHub. See, on giving git push, it's counting objects, writing it, does some internal changes, and then it just, if I do refresh, see, I can see file1.txt. So I can just click here, and this 1914 translated by each Recom, then this first version. So this is the text. Let's say I add another version 2. do git add, git commit, add version 2, git push. So if I do refresh, you can see this changes here. So that's what make it very easy for collaboration. For example, you are at your home, your friend is at your home, both want to edit this text file. What they can do, both just clone the repository. Cloning means getting a copy of the project on local machine, add the changes, and then push, so that on this particular folder, it will stay, and then like they both can look into it and they both can decide on something or whatever they want to do. It just makes the process of collaboration simple, and it helps us in working on projects. I have edited a simple file text. So, but if there is a project of very large, let's say we are working on a website, so where it comes mainly majorly used, like not only website, for any projects which has lot of files, lot of folders are there, which is not easy to maintain multiple versions in the same machine. So let's just practice what we learned once again. So we say git log. You can see this add first change. Let's go to here. Git checkout. So here we come to this change again. So that's how it works. So that's kind of all the basics and all the things that you need to know. What is Git version control system? Why it is used for maintaining multiple copies? How we do that? First, we add the file on a folder. We initialize Git repository. Then we do Git add by basically adding the files to Git commit, adding a checkpoint, so that at any point in time, if we have to go back to that checkpoint, we can use that checkpoint, and then Git push, which basically from local machine pushes to the GitHub. And this is the whole thing that you have to do. If you have to work on projects, collaborate on something, you will be using this process only, and then you can just collaborate in a simple way. Now, let's see. Hope you understand this. So can you quickly let me know if you have understood? Just type yes or no if you have understood. If no, then just let me know your queries. I would love to explain if there's any. Seems like everyone is exhausted after the long day. So yeah, Git is used for collaboration, but how? That's like I have shown right now. So we use GitHub, and then in GitHub we just collaborate on projects. That's how we do. So let's learn branching in Git. That's probably the last thing of this session that I'll be taking up. So let's move into it. Let's start with this file, file 1. You have file 2. What you do on file 1, you just make some changes. So this is version 1. This is version 2. Now, for example, 2% want to work on this file. What they can do, they can create 2 other copies and they will work independently. Let's say this person X would work here. Person Y would work here. And version 2.5, let's say. Change the color. Point 6, just some fictitious versions that I'm using. So we have initially two files. On one file we make some changes. This is v1, this is v2. We have this file, and from this file we have made two copies, which is this two, and from this copies, which is two different persons worked on this on different file. Now what we can do after all these changes, we want to get the changes in same single file. So what you can do, you can just add these changes to this file. So okay. Complete. This is what branching in Git is. Branching means you have one main example. For say you have a river, there are two like two other small rivers, you can say, which are getting from there. So that's what the branching is. You have a main file, two person want to work, they create copies of it. Those copies are not general copies, those creates a branch. So that's a, you can assume there is a road from which two roads are getting, and then on two roads there are some things are happening, and finally that two roads are meeting on a single place. So that's we can do in Git also. What we can do for that, we use a command git branch. If I press enter, it will show you all the current branches. You can see head detached at this. So why this is showing this way? Because we are not on the main branch, we are on a previous checkpoint. Let's first move to the, we can see here git branch master. If you have to create another branch, what you can do, checkout dash b, name of the branch, for example feature A. It should switch to a new branch, feature A. If we do git branch, you can see this feature A new branch and the master is there, but currently you are on the feature A branch. Initially it was only this branch, you created another branch. Let's say you again want to move to master. What do you do? Git checkout master. From this branch, let's say let's start with the spelling. So you see, I have created another branch, this branch B, master, and feature A, feature B. So this is exactly what I showed you. This is the main file. We created two different files. Now, two different person work independently and they can just make some changes. Once they're done with the changes, they can merge the changes on this branch. Let me show example of that. First, I'll currently on the feature B branch, right? Let's say I'm here in feature B. Steps git add, git commit, and now I'm on the feature B branch. Let's move to feature A branch. So let's add some text. Same process, git add, git commit. Now see, there are three branches. I am on this branch. Let's move to master first. So on master, we have this file. On the other two branches, we have some changes. And now we are on this scenario. We have this master branch. On other branches, we have some different changes. What we want is that we want to get all these changes into this master. What you can do, git merge and name of the branch, feature A, enter. You can see now, though I'm in master branch, I have this because I have merged the changes. If I merge the other changes, git merge, feature B, you can see I have got these changes. Well, this is a conflict which has occurred. Why? Because on the same file, I have made two same kind of changes. You can see at the same location, I have made these changes. So Git is kind of confused, like which changes you want to accept. What I can do, I can accept both the changes. So now see, I have these two things. This one I wrote in the first branch, second and third branch, second branch. When I did git merge, I get all the changes in the desired branch. That's the all kind of main concept behind branching. So that's where you can use branching for if say there are two people working on the same project, they can create multiple branches, and from those branches they can just collaborate and they can finally add all the changes to a single branch so that they can show to the for let's say for submit for evaluation. So that's the advantage of using Git. That's one of the features of Git. Git has many such features. There are some advanced topics also, so which you can definitely figure out. Today, the aim of the session was to give you an introduction and give you a head start to start your journey with Git and GitHub, how you can use it and how this can make your life easier, make you more productive, and make your work simpler. Kind of we are almost live demo that we have already shown, and almost we are end of this session. So thank you so much that you just listened till this point. Here are some of the links which if you feel like contacting me, like on there's my website gauravdas.com, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, you can feel free to reach out to me. And so now let's move to the doubt thing. I'll be accepting doubt. If you have anything, please drop in the message and I'll be picking them one by one. I believe the people of Goa are very enthusiastic, and so, but I cannot see the enthusiasm today. What's happening? So, anyone have any doubts? If you don't have doubts, let me just. So, what are the next steps you can do? Today, you have learned Git, why it is used, how it is used, what are the advantages. So you can just practice these things, and then you can, because on the same day itself, it's difficult that you will remember all the commands and you will be proficient in Git. It takes time, like everything that you do in life. It will eventually take time, but once you know how to use it and like how it is helping us, it will make your life simpler and you will enjoy using it, and it will become a part of your everyday work when it comes to development or collaborating in projects.
While others, if you have any doubts, please do ask. Do not hesitate. Gaurav, I would like to ask you, like, how was your experience in starting Git, like for the first time?
Okay, so definitely with like many other, I also messed up. So when I first learned Git, my journey actually when I was before around 2 years, I was collaborating on first open source project. So
Right.
I just went to GitHub and then I started using Git, and then I didn't know how things work. So by mistake, I added 2000 files on the chains. So
2000.
I should have added one file, but I mistake made changes in 2000 files. It was due to some error. And then I just pushed all the changes, and the reviewer was like she was really nice, and she explained me you shouldn't do, you do this way. So I just got very tensed basically, and basically because I just sent 2000 files changes, and then it was a horrible experience for me. So every eventually this may come to everyone's life when they will be first time be using Git and GitHub. Problems will occur. So, but we know one-stop solution to problem is Google. You can just Google out the exact problem, exact error you are getting, and it's certain that you will be getting the solutions.
Right.
Yes. Thank you so much for the cheat sheet you have given. It's useful. Basic commands you will be eventually you'll be able to remember because git add, git commit, all those things. There are many advanced topics in Git also, for which you can reach out to the tutorials. And also, if someday time permits and we again meet, I'll be explaining them too. Those are not rocket sciences. Just you have to, which time you will be understanding more on Git and GitHub, and then once you understand them more, then you will be able to use them more, I would say, proficiently.
Hi, Gaurav. Actually, I wanted to ask a question too.
Sure.
That is for like a starter, how would you like suggest going about like getting into Git, with in respect to like the tutorials or like following the documentation? Like, what would be a better way since reading the documentation too can be quite taxing and it's quite difficult too for a starter. I've tried. So, like, how would you suggest going about that?
Sure. Good question. So, see, start of everything is tough. We know, right? Start of like when we started learning cycling or anything in life, it's very difficult. So how we can learn by multiple iterations of it. We have to in Git. The core thing is that the commands. Once you know which command is used and what it is used. See, there are very few commands. If you look here on the presentation, this is kind of all, these are all the Git commands which you will come across. So what you can do, you can work on create some dummy repositories on your GitHub and then keep doing this iterations. Let's say you just you just try to first of all look the commands and just Google. If you forget this what git add does, just copy this and search on Google what it is used for, and you will be getting how why it is used. And then after that, if you stuck at any point, you can go to the tutorial. But the one thing to keep in mind for Git, main thing is the Git commands and how it is used and why it is used. Those are the two things. So one, if you have any doubt in Git, just search for a command to do this in Git. So that will show us the results and we'll be able to figure it out. And practice definitely will help if we start working using it on our daily life. Let's say we're working on some projects, even it is college assignment. If we create a folder that is repository on GitHub that is private, we can make it private so that no one can see, and we can do these things to keep multiple versions of it or multiple assignments we are just putting together. So that may also help us to getting used to it Git, and that would be one of the good ways that we can make ourselves good in Git. Hope it helps.
Yes, it does. Also, Gaurav, we have a doubt in the chat box, as you can see. Rikshika has asked
Okay.
if we could.
Once still after installing GitHub, what are the steps? Okay, can you tell once after installing GitHub? What? Yeah, okay. So, see, first thing is that you have to install Git, and then you see where it is used. It is used for maintaining versions and collaboration. So when you have to work on some projects or work on some of the things, so you can use Git there. After installing Git, the first step is that if there is a folder, I'm just writing this down, a folder where you wants to get use in, then you have to use git init Git init basically start a folder. It will initialize a Git repository, and then add files to Git. What command you will use? You will use git add dot for all the files, or git. This would also do. After adding the file, we have to add some checkpoints. How do I add checkpoint? Git commit -m something message. You can write XYZ or anything. So these are the 3 steps you have to follow. First is that, if I can increase the font, yeah. So git init, initialize a folder with a Git repository, and then git add for adding the files, and git commit. Once you are committed and you have a folder, and it is you want to push to GitHub, so you can use git push. But you have to make sure if you have cloned a repository, then only you can use this command, because once you cloned, it knows from where you cloned, so it pushes to directly there. But if you have not cloned and you are using git push, it will not be able to identify it to where you want to basically push. So there a concept of remote comes. Remote means a place from to where you want to push. So what we do, git remote add origin and the URL. I know I didn't come like added this into the while I was taking the session, because this will create confusion. So for the, at least for beginners, what you can do, go to a repository, click here, copy this, clone the repository. On that repository, make the changes. And else, if you do not have already repository clone, you can use this command, git remote add origin and the URL. So this will link your local to that particular folder repository on GitHub, and then you can push from local. Then you can just use git push. So it would basically send all the changes from local to that folder in your GitHub. If you can work or contribute for someone else's project in GitHub, if yes, how? Okay, thank you for the question. Let's say you just land into my repository only and you want to contribute to this project. First thing would be that you have to clone the repository, right? And yeah, before cloning, because this is my repository, you cannot directly push here, because it will not be fair if everyone get the permission to push everywhere. So what you have to do, you have to click here and create a fork. What fork does, of the same project, it creates a copy in your account. So if you just do a fork, it exactly same copy would be created on your own account. Once the copy is created, you can make any changes to the copy because that is in your account now. Once you have the changes, you can from after you have a fork copy, you can clone. Let me note down the steps. Fork a repository. Just sorry for the typo. Fork a repository. So forking means creating a copy on local machine. Sorry, on the personal account. Second step, you have to clone this fork repo. Fork repo means it will be nothing. It will be just exactly same copy. Clone the project to get it on your local machine. We do the changes. Push the changes, and then you have to give pull request. What is a pull request? Pull request is a method by which you are requesting your changes to to be merged with the other changes. For example, there is a pull request. If I see, so this is by a bot. You can just ignore this. Just imagine this is a normal. Some person has opened this. If I add here, I can see the details, the changes he has done. So you can see there are some red color mean this has been deleted, the blue this has been added. So this change has done. So if I just if I merge this pull request, that means this pull changes will be reflected on my project. So you have to give pull request, and if the pull request is merged, then you have successfully contributed to the project. So these are the steps. If you need, I'm putting it on the chat in case you need them. So for reference, thank you, Aman, for the question. Any question that I missed? I don't think so. So any more questions? If anyone is having, feel free to ask. I guess no more questions.
Yes, I guess if we don't have any more questions, I think we can call it a day. And thank you so much, Gaurav, for being so spontaneous and uh, like helping us out in this session. Really was very informative. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much that you invited me and I was able to give. Yes, someone is speaking something. Let's continue. Okay. So yeah, thank you so much. So to the GDSC that invited me and I was able to give this take this session. So I really love taking sessions and explaining the things, and I really enjoyed the like all the clearing all the doubts and sharing the things that I know. So it was a beautiful session for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So that would be it for today. Thanks for joining, everyone. Good night.
Yeah, good night. Feel free to connect with me on social media so that let's connect and let's do together great things. Wish you all the best to everyone. Keep doing awesome things in life, and we shall meet together. We shall meet someday. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you so much for the session, Gaurav, and thank you everyone for attending.
Bye bye, everyone. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I guess everyone has